Alright guys, so make sure you're using the worksheet entitled Turtle. Alright, so we're going to work on this worksheet that is entitled Turtle. Okay? So let's look at that first problem on the worksheet entitled Turtle. It says, what answer is closest to the length of line segment D in the following diagram? So we're looking for this line segment here. Okay? Now, the easiest way to do this, they give you a lot of information. I mean, this pretty much looks like a rectangle. They're not going to throw you too crazy of a curveball. Okay, so we can probably assume this is a right angle, although it doesn't tell us. So if this is a right angle, okay, if we think about just this triangle here, well, the first thing that should stand out to you is the Pythagorean theorem, right? What is the Pythagorean theorem? Well, we all should know it, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But just in case you forgot, it is also right here, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals 2c squared. Alright? So, remember, this is side A, this is side B, the hypotenuse is side C. Always identify the hypotenuse first. How do you identify the hypotenuse? Because it is opposite this right angle. Okay? So let's do it. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared is 3 squared, plus b squared is 7 squared, equals our c squared, which is the d squared. Okay? So now we square this. 3 squared is 9, plus 49 equals d squared. 9 and 49 make 58, equals d squared. Now how do we get rid of a squared? Well, the way to get rid of a squared is using the square root. Alright? So we take the square root. Take the square root. So therefore, the square root of 58 equals to d. Well, what is the square root of 58? Do it on your calculator. What do you get? And you should get, your answer is approximately 7.6. Okay? So if your answer for number 1 is going to be 7.6. And that is one for right projector light. Okay, so let's move on to problem number 2. Alright. Let me erase this. And let me move this one to this number 2. Alright, so the graph of which function appears to be shifted 3 units down from the graph of y equal x squared plus 3. Alright, so let me show you. I made this for you. If you look here on the first, this is y equal x squared plus 3 right here. Okay, so which one of those is shifted down 3 units? If we shift down 3 units, 1, 2, 3, we get this graph, which is y equals x squared, okay? Answer choice B. Now, one thing to remember, guys, it's super important. This y equal x squared is called the parent function, okay? So the parent function of quadratic equations is y equal x squared. Don't forget that. Let me say it again. The parent function of quadratic equations is y equal x squared, right? So, you know, that's super important. A lot of times they'll ask you about the parent function. Parent function of a linear equation, y equals x. Alright, those are the main two. Y equals x, parent function of linear equation. Y equals x squared, parent function of a quadratic equation. Make sure y'all remember that. Okay? So your correct answer is going to be B. Now let's look here at this one. How would the graph of y equals x squared plus 5 be affected if the 5 were changed to a negative 5? Okay? So I drew this one out here as well. Alright? So we're looking at y equals x squared plus 5. That's this. Okay? How would the graph be affected if that positive 5 were changed to a negative 5? Which is here. 5, negative 5, y equals x squared minus 5. This graph, what's the change? Look, you're going down 5, going down 5 more. Total, you shift down 10 units. So the answer is that the graph would shift 10 units down. Answer choice would thus be J on number 2. Okay? Let us take a look at this bottom one. Alright. The base of a 30-foot ramp is placed 26 feet away from the building. About how high does the ramp reach? So we're looking for this height, alright, that we're going to call H. Now, we got a right triangle. We have 2 of the sides in a right triangle, so what should you immediately think? You should think Pythagorean theorem, okay? So, let's do it. Remember, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Always identify the c first, opposite the right angle, c. Okay? So this is going to be A, that's going to be B. So A squared is H squared plus B squared, 26 squared, equals C squared, which is 30 squared. Alright? So let's solve it. So what is 26 squared? Alright, I'm going to use a calculator. 26 squared is going to be 676. And 30 squared is 900. And H squared. So H squared plus 676 equals 900. We're trying to find this H, guys. Alright? So next thing we need to do, right, you should know, subtract the 676. Get this variable alone. Subtract 676. Subtract 676. We're going to get H squared equals 900 minus 676 is going to be 200 and what, 24? Alright, 224. Now, how do we get this H alone? If we want to get rid of a square, we take the square root. So H, wherever the square root of H squared is H, equals the square root of 224. Let me go to my calculator. You can do that as well on your calculator. It's going to be about 14.96, alright, which is about, which is approximately 15, which is answer choice B. Let me show you how to do your square root, just in case you forgot it. If you want to do square root, you go right here above your x squared is the square root, so you do second x squared 224, and you get 14.96, you're going to do 15. Alright, so let us move along to the next problem, which is going to be, now we're in the top right column, let's go right here. And we are talking about scale factor, which we have done. Rectangle ABCD, 3 inches wide, 6 inches high. 3 inches wide, 6 inches high. Alright. Now the rectangle is reduced to rectangle EFGH, which is 1 inch wide and 2 inches high. 1 inch wide and 2 inches high. Alright. What is the scale factor for the reduction? First of all, it's reduced. Alright. If it's reduced, it's going to be less than 1, because if it's greater than 1, it's going to become bigger. Remember, scale factor is the number you can multiply this to get that. Okay, so what of these numbers can I multiply 3 to get 1 and 6 to get 2? Well, it's not this 3 or the 2, because 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 2 is 12, okay? What about the 1/2? So 6 to the 1/2 means that this would be 6 and this would be 3, right? This would be 3, this would be 1.5. That's not the case, so it can't be 1/2. The answer, it has to be a third, right? A third of 3 is 1, a third of 6 is 2. You don't believe me? Do it on your calculator. Do 1/3 times 6 and see if you get 2. Let me show you how to do it. Just do it as a fraction. 1 divided by 3. I always like to put my fractions in parentheses just so I don't mess up. 1/3 times 6 is going to be 2. 1/3 times 3 is going to be 1. Alright, so you know that the answer is indeed a 1/3. Okay? Moving along, let's work out this number 3 right here. What will the equation of the graph below be if it is shifted 5 units up? Okay. So this, we've done a lot of these problems already. Shifted 5 units up, goes from a -4. This is 4 units up, 1 more, so it would be at 1, right? That would be 5 units up. If you graph that, right? Now that's y equals x squared plus 1, your answer is going to be C. Okay, we've done a lot of those, that's why I went through it quick. I think you kind of get the point. Number 3, GHJ is dilated to form KLM, okay? Now, you're not given a lot of information on this, so this is kind of a problem you just have to infer the answer, because there's only one answer that really makes sense on this, okay? So you're going from GHJ to KLM, so you're going from bigger to small. First of all, if ever you're getting smaller, the number must be less than 1. It must be shrinking. If the number is greater than 1, it's going to be getting bigger. Okay? So, if the scale factor was 1, it would be the same figure. Alright? No, it obviously changes, so it can't be a scale factor of 1. Alright? 2 and 3 means it would be doubling, it would be tripling in size. Nope, nope. Only answer that makes sense is thus answer choice B, 1/2. Although it doesn't give you a lot of information, that is the only answer choice that makes sense. So that concludes Operation Turtle.